Stugatz here for 1-800-Flowers. If you are still looking for the perfect Valentine's gift that's going to check all the boxes, you have to visit 1-800-Flowers.com. With beautiful bouquets and deals to match, winning Valentine's is easy with 1-800-Flowers. Right now, when you order early, you can get 18 red roses for only $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more. It's an unbelievable offer from 1-800-Flowers. 18 red roses for $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak and shipped overnight to ensure freshness. 18 red roses for only $29.99 or an upgrade to 24 red roses for just $10 more is the perfect reward for thinking ahead. Valentine's Day is only 5 days away, so take advantage right now. Make sure you lock in this offer, only good while supplies last. To order 18 red roses for $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for $10 more, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, enter code Dan. Order today at 1-800-Flowers.com, code Dan.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more. Like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick. Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
This is the Dan Levatar Show with the Stugatz Podcast.
I owe NBA trade deadline day a profound apology. That will be forthcoming at some point during the show today. Lane Johnson and Jay Ajayi are going to join us in 30 minutes. I'm really looking forward to talking to Lane Johnson. Mike knows me very well, and he knows when I develop these weird man crushes.
Yep.
And for some reason, the right tackle of the Philadelphia Eagles, who looks like something out of Fury Road. I spent 3 years talking about the strength of Justin Smith. You remember that, Mike?
It went from Justin Smith to Tyron Smith, and now you're on to Lane Johnson.
I don't think so.
There was a pit stop at Andrew Whitworth.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, there was.
Yes,
there was a stop at Whitworth. I developed these strange obsessions with violent football players. And so one of them will join us at 10:30. I have no idea if he's interesting or not. I look forward to finding out with you, though. But the Cavs yesterday, they had a house party, and it wasn't going well, and they just kicked everybody out. Everybody out. All of you. Out! And it's rare that you see this happen. When do you ever see what happened? We went off the air yesterday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and 5 minutes later, all hell broke loose. And the Cavs are better today than they were yesterday, Stugatz.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And the Cavs committed to LeBron. They made moves that really have to placate LeBron.
If you're LeBron and you're sitting there, I was thinking about this yesterday, you have to be impressed with what Kobe Altman did. He turned over basically half your roster in a single afternoon, and the owner
made it 3 years younger.
Made it 3 years younger.
3 years younger in a day.
And the owner, and you can say whatever you want about the owner, but they checkmated LeBron from this standpoint. The owner spent $50 million yesterday to improve that roster. Now, they didn't trade the Nets pick. That's what LeBron wanted them to do. But they did a great job and spent money. And LeBron, he can leave if he wants, but he can't say, hey, they didn't try.
Well, what they did that I didn't think they were going to be able to do, and this all started, Stugatz, with Kyrie Irving doing to LeBron what LeBron has done to two organizations before LeBron was ready for it. So Kyrie Irving put on LeBron what LeBron had done to Cleveland the first time.
Right.
And what it is that he put on the Miami Heat. And I'm just stunned that we find ourselves here in this position where the Cavs rebuilt everything in a day in a way that looks like, A, they protected their future, and B, they did as right as they could by LeBron. Like, nobody watching this can dispute the idea of, man, if they kept that Brooklyn pick, that's smart for the future to not give that up for something now. And what was also amazing is I didn't think they had tradable assets. Like, I didn't think they could do that without losing Love.
Yeah, that's why if you're LeBron, like I know he had a relationship with David Griffin, he's no longer there, but you have to be impressed with what Kobe Altman did yesterday.
I guess LeBron is going to be result over process, though, right?
Sure.
He'll be impressed with it if the team does well. If the team ends up stinking, he's not going to be impressed with it.
They did well by him yesterday. He's got to make it work now.
Okay.
On the court, he has to make it work.
I don't think it can be disputed that the Cavs got better yesterday. And it's such a weird thing to say because now they start training camp. Now all of these guys who have never played together, like we haven't seen something quite like this. And this is the Cavs just going all in on half a season of LeBron window. Here it is, LeBron. We will just, like they were playing, the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday were playing like fantasy GM stuff. This is the stuff that you do on sports radio.
Yes.
When you do Trade Machine on ESPN, you just say, okay, how can I throw everything out there and cut something back? And now LeBron's in a position where he goes the rest of this season, and they're not as good. You can't lose Kyrie.
Well, of course.
And be as good when you're not replacing him with anything with Rodney Hood.
But it feels like they're good enough to get out of the East again.
Well, it feels like they tried to do right by LeBron as well as they could, balancing that interest against their future. And if LeBron wanted them to go and trade the Brooklyn pick unprotected, they gave him a pretty big bleep you yesterday. That was like, no.
Yeah, we're not trading
No,
this thing.
here.
Right.
We'll do it here. Look at what we're going to do at trade deadline day. Rodney Hood, and here comes George Hill, and look at all this. Look at this. New toys for LeBron. Go get them. You got half a season. And, the Cavs learned their lesson from the last time with LeBron. They are not going to allow him to wreck their future.
While helping another team clear room to potentially sign LeBron James in the offseason.
Correct.
But you know what, Mike? I think their mentality is if he's going to leave, he's going to leave. We might as well go out and put the best team we can for the next 30 games in the playoff run this year. He's going to leave. He's going to leave. There's nothing they can do about it. And the Lakers were willing to part ways with some guys and give them some of the pieces they wanted.
We've talked before about the idea that the transaction is something that's as exciting to sports fans as the action. When's the last time you saw specifically what you saw yesterday? And this is why I owe NBA trade deadline an apology, because I was making fun for years that nothing ever happens on NBA trade deadline day. And I can't say that anymore. That what the Cavs did, while I think smart, is also kind of nuts. And I'm asking you, when's the last time you saw something quite like it, where one day you get sort of, you could see how it is that they arrived at this point, but they actually do a bunch of things where they've been playing poorly enough. This first half of the season, Stugotz, is the worst LeBron team we've seen in the last 12 years.
Yep.
It's the worst LeBron team, and so they just nuked it.
I can't think of too many times where, I mean, Dan, have you ever seen this where
I'm trying to go through my memory. I haven't looked it up, but I'm sitting here trying to think of on deadline day, a team that is finals worthy just nukes itself. Like it's why I have to apologize. I must genuflect before NBA trade deadline day because it produced something I haven't seen before. I thought the Cavs were going to get forced into a position, Stugotz, where they were going to have to choose either their future or placating LeBron right now. And it feels like they did both.
They did.
And I didn't think they'd be able to do both because I didn't think they had any trade assets to do both those things.
No one did, which is why I keep saying he has to be impressed with Kobe Altman. Like, that's a GM I might want to play for if I'm LeBron James. If he could do that with no roster, I don't know. The Cavs did the right thing, though, right? By not trading that Nets pick?
Yes,
you can't do that.
I don't think that LeBron's relationship with the Cavs right now is in a place where a general manager is going to repair it with what he did yesterday. Nor do I think LeBron's going to be making any decisions right now about how he feels permanently about Cavs management.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I mean, listen, his disdain, I guess, for Dan Gilbert probably going to outweigh how impressed he was with Kobe Altman yesterday, because he had to be impressed. And if you don't think LeBron's made a decision,
I don't think that he's made a decision on how he feels about the new management team. Oh, okay. I wasn't saying about where it is that he's going to end up. I don't think that yesterday he's like, okay, I'm sold on Altman. Never mind that I was hurt by the fact that we traded David Griffin.
Right. All right, that's fair.
Or we fired David Griffin. So Lane Johnson and Jay Ajayi are going to join us here in about 15 minutes.
It wasn't a deadline day where they completely turned over a roster, but it was sort of in a single day or a couple of days where the Orlando Magic totally turned over the roster, and that's when they built what Stugotz called the greatest starting five in NBA history.
It was
Gilbert Arenas
at the time.
Well, I think that day was the day that we all fell in love with NBA trade deadline day, and I think that what I will. Okay, I
was
believe
Turkoglu part of that starting.
No, hold on a second. Hold on a minute. You just ruined the punchline. You just ruined where it is that I was headed toward the end of the joke. Okay, you just squatted on it.
I'm sorry.
Stugotz, this is where we all fell in love with the NBA transaction. Stugotz saw that the Magic had made a trade for Hedo Turkoglu and announced that the Orlando Magic had assembled the greatest starting five in the history of basketball. Mike, please go look for me. I mean, I think Vince Carter was in there somewhere. I don't even know.
Vince was in there.
Vince was in there somewhere.
Agent Zero.
Yeah, Gilbert Arenas.
Vince got traded to bring Turkoglu back, and that's when Stugotz was like, whoa.
Wait, do we have the starting five? Do we have the sound? I need it all.
No, we don't have the sound instantaneously of the day we fell in love with the transaction. I just remember distinctly that Smells Like Cigarettes, Hedo Turkoglu is the day that it happened. I associate him with it. I associate him and you with that day where you decided upon the trading of Hedo Turkoglu in a total knee-jerk reaction, at least in part because you don't care what your team looks like as long as you recognize the names on the back of the uniforms.
Yep, I wanted Scottie Pippen to join the Heat when he was like 40.
50. Not 40, 50. 50. Not 40.
I'd still take him.
Hedo Turkoglu. Mike, that's starting five.
I got to find it because that trade happened in December, so I want to see what
December of what year?
2010.
All right.
So it's the 2011? All
right. We break down the 2010 Orlando Magic roster next.
Dan Le Batard.
So he was on Wingo and Golick, and I'm told this is Golick and Wingo. Excuse me. Whoa,
that's a fun.
Wow. Yep. No, that's not a fine.
What do you mean?
No, what? That's not.
That's not the name of the show.
It's not the name of the show.
A fine.
They only had 8 million ads.
$2, two names wrong, right? No, and be careful on tone. That's all I'm saying. $2, fork it up.
Stugotz.
Want me to front you?
No, thank you.
Good, because I don't have any money on me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Amin Al-Hassan, who does a private show with me during the commercial breaks, writes in, you need to stop saying David Griffin got fired. His contract expired, and he and the Cavs were not able to come to terms on a new deal, so he walked. It might seem like semantics, but it's not.
Is that guy?
Man, I had Griffin traded before I said he was fired. He's a general manager. I said traded. In fact, hit him with a you don't get the show as well. Don't listen to me about these things. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You don't get the show.
I think he expects you to know what you're talking about. He expects that from me. I think that's what he's doing there. But to your larger point, you are right. I mean, what are you thinking? Hey, listen, we're sloppy here. Both of us. Dan, I mean, he continues to age in a way that's frightening to all of us. Sorry.
That's all right. I understand. So here, Stugotz, can we check in with Stugotz? And is this the 2010 Orlando Magic roster? Again, the day that this show fell in love with that NBA trade deadline day show, which is them being super excited and me, harumphing and wandering around playing the straight guy. Yesterday gave us a gold mine, finally. But we've been doing this for 7 years. And it began with what was the lineup, Mike, that Stugotz proclaimed after a bunch of these trades. That is the greatest starting five in the history of basketball. I want Mike Ryan to come to the microphone and have everyone know what Stugotz announced was the greatest lineup in the history of basketball.
Dwight Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Richardson.
Good start.
Hedo Turkoglu.
Yep.
Gilbert Arenas.
Agent Zero.
And a hybrid between J.J. Redick and Jameer Nelson.
It was so good. It wasn't Rashard Lewis?
No, he got sent to Washington for Gilbert Arenas.
Pretty good starting five, man. I mean, Jay Rich, fresh off, I believe he won the dunk contest that year.
No, that was several years later.
I mean, that was Dwight at the height of his powers. The game has changed a lot since then.
That was Dwight when the question you'd ask everyone, who do you start a franchise with? Dwight Howard or LeBron James?
How about that one? Does anyone remember that?
Yep.
You're talking about me getting old. That was a conversation we were having. Seriously.
I know.
And Dan was taking Dwight.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's true.
No, you absolutely.
You always take the big man.
You always, yes.
Well, I mean, LeBron.
You took Dwight.
First of all, LeBron's the same size as Dwight.
Right.
But just think about how the game has evolved. Think about the number of things that have changed since that conversation. It's the entire sport. Where we can look back in that and laugh. Wait a minute. You got one guy who is Dwight's size who can play like LeBron, and you got another guy who is Dwight's size who plays like Dwight. The game has changed a lot since then. Like, of course, I'll take the guy who plays like LeBron. Because now all the guys on the perimeter are something like that.
Now you will, though. Back then, you had Howard.
But are you guys not a little bit startled by how quickly Dwight Howard became a dinosaur?
I mean, he's played great this year, but his skill set it doesn't matter as much in the NBA. He has been really, really good this year.
But are you guys not startled by that? Yes, he's been really good for a really bad team or a team that loses more than it wins.
Yep.
And
yeah, Dan, I'm startled that it'd be hard to trade Hassan Whiteside right now or Dwight Howard. It'd be hard to trade those guys.
But when I saw the other night, like, honest to God, I'm thinking about these things. When I see the other night, Greek Freak, you remember the time when LeBron James jumped over John Lucas Jr.?
Yes.
Just jumped clear over John Lucas Jr.
It's the third.
Wow. Fine.
Oh, mother.
Mm-hmm.
Ow. Close.
Good catch, Mike.
Close.
That doesn't feel like it should be a fine, man.
It sure does from where I'm sitting.
Because you're technically calling him the second when he's the third.
Yeah. I mean, disrespectful for the second.
Regardless, I want you to look up the height for me, please, of John Lucas III.
Okay.
LeBron James.
How about the second, though?
Hold on a second. I don't care about him right now. Okay. LeBron James jumped over a human being to dunk a basketball on an alley-oop, and that human being was how tall?
5'11".
Mm-hmm.
Listed. He is John Lucas III, we could say, was one of the smallest players in the league then.
Yeah.
But LeBron jumped clean over him. Now, the evolution of the sport since even then is Greek Freak is now jumping over on a dunk, jumping over Tim Hardaway's son. That's a junior.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in and say Tim Hardaway the third.
And Tim Hardaway Jr. is a lanky what? 6'6"?
He's 6'6".
Like, where is this sport headed? I'm not kidding you when I would say, like, we might see in somewhere in the distant future where they have to raise the baskets, and that's really going to screw up Steph's game. Like, you got all these guys who've been shooting a certain way for a certain time. Seriously.
John Lucas II, by the way, is 6'4".
Guillermo, put it on the poll. In our lifetime, will the rims in basketball get raised? In our lifetime. Is that going to happen? Because, God, what is that? What kind of extraterrestrial could jump over a 6'6" Tim Hardaway Jr.? Tim Hardaway Jr. is one of the largest human beings. When you walk around throughout your life, you might not walk into anyone your entire life as tall as Tim Hardaway Jr. It's possible. And Greek Freak jumped over him. Like, what am I watching? Like, I'm not that far off from just avatars playing, right?
Don Le Batard.
Just to close up what I began to say yesterday about Baldwin after the game.
You meant last segment. We were off yesterday.
Last segment, yes. Thank you.
Super Bowl Sunday, just to remind you.
Thank you.
Should be Super Bowl Saturday. We'll talk about that later. Enough of this.
Stugats.
We're not going to talk about it later, and we're not going to talk about it now either.
Well, I'm glad I got it in.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Love both of these guys here. They're champions, and Lane Johnson and Jay Ajayi are going to be on with us here in a second. But I like Jay Ajayi. We've talked to him a lot as a Miami Dolphin around here, and usually the offensive linemen come around and they have to be in the shadows of the skill position guys, and I don't want to do that here because I got a man crush on Lane Johnson, And so, Jay, if you don't mind, and this guy's blocked for you, and he opened up holes you never had in Miami, do you mind getting out of the way a little bit on this interview so I could talk to your offensive lineman? Because I feel like this offensive line deserves a little more credit than it gets.
He's a superstar, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
let him do his thing.
And Jay, congratulations on getting out of Miami, because good things happen to people who get out of Miami.
God, man. Like, I saw your first run in Philadelphia, and you're like, you didn't have one of those. You didn't have a hole like that for a season and a half in Miami.
Yeah. I love being the Eagle. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. I didn't want to talk to you anyway. So, Lane, no, but you're a menace, dude. Like, you're a menace. Like, you love mauling people.
Yeah, last couple seasons to get suspended, I've been getting mauled. So now I'm trying to do a little bit more mauling.
All right. Well, but you've got a nasty side. Like, who on that offensive line? This Kelsey guy's a weirdo. He's out of his mind. But who on that offensive line do you look at and say that's the mauler of the group? That even us, our peers, we would say that's the mauler in our group.
I mean, I got big baller Brand Brooks that's next to me. He's about he's 6'5", 340 plus, plus. We'll leave it at that. And guy has 16 triple E feet. And I don't think anybody wants any problems with him. And then you look across and you got Jason Peters at the other end of the line, who's about 6'4", 340 with attitude to go with it. So it's just a bunch of guys across the board.
Okay, they're big, but can either of those two guys double pump reverse dunk? Like you can at what? What are you, 6'6"?
Wait a second, Layton, you can do that?
See, no, they can't do that, can they?
No, I don't think they can. Maybe on a mini goal. That's probably it for them. But no, I did it a couple years ago. I think 2 years ago I did it. But maybe I'll try it again this offseason, see where I'm at.
Jay, can you help explain for us, please? Like, I don't want you to rip Miami, but the difference in when you got there, you had these giant holes to run through that you didn't seem to ever have in Miami. Can you explain how quickly you noticed that?
Yeah, it was cool getting to get on the practice field like right away with the team and seeing just like the special talent that was on the Eagles and understanding like, okay, this is a team that's got what it takes to really take it the distance. And then I was lucky enough that I caught enough of the playbook to be able to play in that first game because we had a bye week right after and I really didn't want to have to wait 2 weeks to play. And that first week, just getting out there with those guys on the offensive line and seeing what they could do, I knew they were special and yeah, it was just, I knew I could really be successful in the offense.
But until you joined the Eagles, Jay, you had no idea it could be that easy, right?
I mean, I won't lie. There was a moment where I was on the Dolphins and I was sitting at home and I was watching like, reruns of a game and I saw like this Nelson Aguilar play where he like caught the pass against the Cardinals and made the dude look stupid. And I was like, wow, like the Eagles are really out there acting a fool and like whooping on people. And then like 2 weeks later, I was on the Eagles. So I was like, yo, not. And then we were up on like the Broncos by like 40. I was like, wow, look what it feels like to be on the other side. It was like the sun shined down on me at a moment in the game. I looked up in the sky.
No,
I'm just joking. But
no, I want to hear more about this. No, tell me about the doves that flew through your periphery and the angels that started singing. I want to hear more about this.
No, it was great, man. I was just happy to be an Eagle, man. Still happy.
Lane, what I believed you guys. I believe the Cowboys' offensive line of a couple of years ago was the best offensive line I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And then this year, I thought you guys were just about as good as them. Do you guys believe yourselves to be the best offensive line in all of football? Like all of the time football's been played.
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, there's been lots of great lines, but far as, talent and ability, now just imagine if Jason Peters was healthy this year. That'd have been 4 Pro Bowlers on one line. And that's really what I think why Dallas is so good. They have those 3 guys that are just, consistent every year. You can hang your hat on those guys and they do so much damage in the run game and pass game. So, we've been trying to build up a roster. Obviously I got Brandon Brooks next to me. He helps the right side of the line. Kelsey, who had an all-pro year. Jason Peters is playing really well at his age. So, I'm confident with where we're at, and I think we can be, probably the best for a few years now.
Lane, put us there. I want an honest reaction. Lane Johnson was thinking what when Carson Wentz went down?
Okay, but honest. Honest is important. I know you believe in Foles and everything else, but it's got to be instantaneously honest reaction, Lane. That's the role playing. If you, like, the moment it happened, you get the news how and what was your reaction?
I said a couple F-bombs. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, I mean, that was my instant reaction. Now, I knew we'd be in a good place just because, in the preseason I saw what kind of depth we had. So I knew if worst comes to worst, we have the best backup in the league. So that's where it was.
Lane, did you look at this season at any point and think, okay, we're the best in football? Like, when did you realize that? Because you guys all season were the best team in football. When did you realize it?
Even though, we were doing so well, and just to see us win, even having really terrible games like against the Raiders, and that just shows us we're still making adjustments. We're at our worst, and we're still beating teams, even though it wasn't, necessarily at the right time. Whenever Carson got hurt, he only had a few weeks to prepare for the playoffs. So, just a whirlwind, to be honest with you.
Lane Johnson with us and Jay Ajayi from the Championship Eagles on ESPN Radio. Without disrespecting the Patriots, Lane, did you know going into that game, this defensive line, they don't get enough pressure. This defensive line isn't going to be as formidable as some of the others we faced.
Yeah, I knew as far as talent-wise. They had a few guys. 98 was a really good player. Flowers, we saw him do a lot of, but they got rid of Chandler Jones. They got rid of Collins. Hightower's not playing, so they got rid of a lot of key guys, and that's hard to make up. There's no way around it. So, I knew if we could just, play up to what we could play our potential, it shouldn't be a problem.
Lane, I've read that recently you threatened your grandma, Lane, for rooting for the wrong team.
Is that right?
That's the correct statement.
Yeah. You threatened her? You threatened?
But here's what happened. It was last year, so the Cowboys were playing, I think it was Green Bay, and the one where Green Bay, won there in the end. And I came in from outside or doing something, and she was just sitting at the table by herself and rooting for Dak and Dez, and I go, well, what the hell are you doing? And I said, if you don't shut your, you knew what up, said you may not live to be 75.
Wow, that threat escalated quickly.
That's
and
your grandma,
Ajayi, that's why I think this guy's a menace, and you got to be scared of him in the locker room. Like, I'm right about this, right? Other guys are afraid of this person because he'll threaten his grandma with death.
He walks around in a dog mask now, just regularly. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Wait a minute. Lane, are you legitimately crazy? Lane, are you legitimately crazy? Now we're getting somewhere with this interview. Lane,
I'm not trying to be like a fake tough guy, but let's say, hey, they don't know what I'm going to do. The off season, they just hope I get back and can play the next year. That's what they're hoping.
Wait a minute, the whole organization, like
just
teammates?
waiting around for you.
Wait a minute.
Hey, they don't know what's going to happen to me. Am I going to be playing? Am I going to be the best tackle in football? Hey, it's a big question mark.
Wait a minute, but what does that mean? Like, you might get swallowed by a bear because you decided to wrestle a bear in the woods? I don't understand what that means.
I wouldn't take it that far. It's just, I don't know.
We got Lane's Secret Service. Don't worry.
Wait a minute. Wait, Jay, what is Lane doing in the offseason that no one knows if he's going to return next season?
People that will be watching Lane, and he doesn't have to worry about
Lane, wait a minute.
Okay.
Jay's
Lane
going to follow him around.
Is Lane on a leash? Is Lane on a leash? Do we cage Lane before games?
He has a service that needs to protect him at all
times. They cage me in the off season. I have a guy that stays with me to make sure I don't do nothing stupid.
Wait a minute.
For the organization. So,
wait a minute. Wait,
you have an assigned guy?
Lane, you have the Des Bryant babysitter?
I do. He's my best friend.
Yeah.
So I hired him as my manager. He does a lot of my social media, all the stuff for the school.
Wait,
so, hey,
Lane, what did you
story.
do? Lane, what did you do that you need a babysitter? What happened?
I got suspended twice. That's I'm trying to play football and I'm over here on the couch, eating potato chips, and it's playoff time.
All right. Well, congratulations. I knew he was a loon, and I'm happy that you're a loon. Thank you for being a loon. It's Loon Johnson.
I love Ajayi following him around because running the football is so easy behind Lane. He's following him around to make sure he comes
Lane,
back.
do me a favor. Okay, whenever you're done wandering around ESPN there, come back on our show later here. I want to talk to you some more because I knew you were crazy, and I want to talk about some of the crazy stuff.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Good.
Now to the good stuff.
They don't know if he's going to make it back.
I love that. These are the barbarians who play on Sundays. You got to put them in a cage with a babysitter who becomes their manager and their social media account. We'll talk about that loon Jason Kelsey in a second, too.
Look at it
His
right
teammate.
now.
Like, we're just now learning these people who are champions on the offensive line of the Eagles are loons.
I know it was a big day, LeBron deadline. I'm telling you, the sound that Kelsey gave us yesterday is the sound for this show.
All right, we're going to play it next.
Don Le Batard.
Give me the musician that John Oates right now would pay top dollar because he has to see that musician.
Chuck Berry.
Stugats.
Okay, yeah, well, we can't do that.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
So we are now learning that the Eagles' offensive linemen are all crazy people. Jason Kelsey, if you haven't been watching him the last couple of days, he's at this parade. Stugats was making me laugh during the break because he's talking about how the other Eagles were mocking Lane Johnson about steroids.
It was Kelsey. He was mocking, and Doug Peterson's just kind of sitting in the back of the stage. His arms are folded, and he's cackling and laughing as Kelsey is talking about Lane Johnson, his steroid use. Hey, we won the Super Bowl. We're all drunk. Who cares?
That's right. Like, that's exactly what's happening right now. Now is exactly the time for all of these guys to reveal whatever their scandals would be. Jason Kelsey, preferably, while wearing what he's wearing at this parade, he is painted white. I don't even know. What is this outfit?
Intergalactic Sultan or Genie?
All right, Guillermo, put it on the poll. What's Kelsey going for? Intergalactic Sultan.
These guys have been arguing, the shipping container have been arguing about this since I walked in this morning.
All right, or Genie, because he's all green, and I don't know, there are wings on his boots, and he's got a clover over his left shoulder, and he's really sparkly.
Was he the Wizard of Oz?
I don't know, but let's listen to his sound from the Super Bowl, because Stugats is so right about this. Winning, baby. They just list all your crimes right now. Philadelphia will forgive them all.
When Doug Peterson was hired, he was rated as the worst coaching hire by a lot of freaking analysts out there in the media. This past offseason, some clown named Mike Lombardi told him that he was the least qualified head coach in the NFL. You saw a driven Doug Peterson, a man who went for it on fourth and down, in the Super Bowl with the trick play. He wasn't playing just to go mediocre. He's playing for a Super Bowl.
I can't explain to you how he's dressed. He's wearing some sort of elaborate bejeweled turban.
That's amazing.
Does he have a scepter? Like what? Give me isolated details on his costume.
He was riding a bicycle.
He's got a giant beard and his face is painted white and his outfit is really sparkly.
His face is not painted white. That's just his face.
No, wait a minute. Are you telling me he's not wearing white powder all over his face?
The fun.
Guillermo, put it on the poll.